Hello, folks, and salutations from the great state of Minnesota. This is going to be a continuation, a follow-up on the video that I recorded yesterday and posted to my channel on Zohran Mamdani, the newly elected mayor of New York City. First off, actually, before just dragging it, I'm going to ask you a very honest, heart-to-heart question. You're going to find a link on this video. Please watch it. It's very short, 1 minute and 25 seconds of Mamdani's very brief speech a day after his victory. And I'm going to ask your opinion, free from anything, free from any kind of politics and ideologies and doctrinations and this or that. Just heart to heart, honest opinion. What was he saying prior to, during his campaign, Mamdani, to New Yorkers? What was he promising? We all know that he was promising everything free, right? He said free bus transportation, rent freeze, and free groceries, and free this and free that. That's what he was promising to New York City folks. And New Yorkers voted for him, and they were all excited about hearing free stuff. Okay. I guess anyone with some life experience and some gray matter up here should and would know that there's nothing free in life. But anyway, let's say New Yorkers were all frustrated and fed up, and they just jumped the bandwagon because it was all free, and they were all excited, right? All right. Just watch that video. What it says is, on the 60th second, 60th or maybe 62nd second, what he's saying is, after he completes whatever he was saying, oh, and by the way, there's a tiny little detail. Remember I told you stop sending money? Like, stop sending money to me, stop, donating, whatever. You can start. That's what he said. And then he tries to kind of justify and explains, well, things, it takes money. All kinds of, administration and work and the transition process. You remember, he calls this transition, right? The huge, big transition. Well, that takes money. Wow, really? I didn't know that. People didn't know that. Things take money, right? He's coming to senses. Just 24 hours after his victory. Folks, this is what I wanted to ask you. Heart to heart. That's free of any kind of ideology, politics, nothing. Honest, open. If somebody was promising you free everything, all these things that we just mentioned, up until the election and a day after, one day after he got in the position, mayoral position in New York City, he changes his tone 180 degrees and he's asking for money. Well, believe me, I'm really beyond surprised. This is beyond amazing. I don't know how to explain this. We were all saying, people who are against the charlatan like Mamdani, he's a big scammer. And New Yorkers will soon learn this. That's why I was telling on my video yesterday, I gave, time frames, like between 12 months to 24 months, and then 24 months to 48 months, how New York City is going to look like. That was my prediction. Should I change those time frames, folks? I mean, day after He didn't lose a goddamn day to change his tone. And he got from free to New Yorkers to, well, you can start sending money. What do you think of that? That's it. That's the honest question to anyone who's supporting, whether they're living in New York City or not. I mean, I live in Minnesota, and I've been following him. In fact, we got a copycat here, Omar Fatah, of Somali origin. By the grace of God, I don't know what to say. We just dodged that bullet, and he lost. They called Minneapolis already Mina Somalia, or Little Mogadishu. And if he became mayor, I mean, I don't wanna think about it. That guy who looks like that pirate in that Somali pirate in the movie Captain Phillips that Tom Hanks was acting. I mean, he has an eerie resemblance of that Somali pirate. Well, Minnesota voters, although this is a blue state, I guess kind of came to their senses, and they voted him out. It takes another video. In fact, I had a couple videos I think before regarding the Somalis and Ilhan Omar with all her fraudulent activities, starting with getting married to her own biological brother to cheat the immigration system, which is now a federal crime per the new immigration law, that if, regardless of how long you live in this country, even as a naturalized citizen, as she is obviously, if they found that that you committed a crime, the immigration fraud, your citizenship, you'll be denaturalized. Your citizenship will be stripped off, and you'll be deported. And I think I don't have to add that she is literally found guilty. It's all documented, and that alone should deport her. I'm not even talking about her involvement with the other huge fraud cases like Feed My Starving Children, 100% organized and coordinated by Somali community, and she had a big part. But we got a lot of corruption in Minnesota under Tim Walz, the governor Tim Walz. He has also involvement, and I several times I mentioned that in 2020 George Floyd, Tim Walz basically sat down and watched the Minneapolis burning by those terrorists, what I call terrorists, BLM and Antifa terrorists, when they were burning the city. Well, that's besides the point. I don't want to just lose track here, because I want to get back to and stay on the topic. The topic is, again, the New York mayor election and results, and Mamdani and all that stuff. But that's primarily I wanted to discuss with you, and that's why I said, honestly, I'm asking anyone, either who's living in New York City, who voted for Mamdani, or wherever they're living, anyone supporting him. I mean, I got on my recording, on my video, there are a couple posts. One of them didn't even make sense, but some conflicting messages, which are all welcome anyway. Thank you anyway for anyone who's taking time and posting. But please at least try to show some decency and make sure that you're writing, you're responding in a sense that will be considered proper and civil. Because I try to keep my channel clean of any kind of non-civilized, let's call it, stuff. This is not a platform to attack anyone. It's just a platform to discuss whether our opinions are aligned or in conflict. That's the whole purpose of discussion. Otherwise it's not discussion, it's something else. Anyway, go back to what we're talking about. So this is what he's saying, and that's why I wanted to share. I couldn't help myself. I wasn't even planning to make this video, but after seeing him, hearing him, watching him saying this, it was like I couldn't believe it. I mean, you can't believe it. I thought it's almost like a joke. Is that real? Is that real? Is that video real? Who can do that? Who can say that? Up until the election day, promising everything, the sun, and like I was saying yesterday, sun and the moon to everybody, and then the next day, I'm sorry, things are not free, you gotta help me. That's a true scammer. That's why I was saying nothing is free in economics, in real life, and those things like bus rides or healthcare or groceries he was talking about, or rent freeze. Somebody gotta pay for those, either for rent or bus, the vehicles and drivers, and maintenance and repairs, or groceries. Somebody are paying for those. There is nothing free. And Mamdani is a project, and he's part of this woke agenda, which is very closely aligned with the international globalist Marxist movement. The globalist order, I call it international globalist cabal, that are basically hell-bent to destroy America. And they are partnering with Democrats. The Democratic Party is not the old Democratic Party that a lot of people knew in this country. Democratic Party, back in the day, go back to 1963, JFK assassination. He was a Democrat, and I had utmost respect for that guy. He did something unbelievable. He wanted to eliminate Federal Reserve and CIA. If those of you are not aware of that, please go study history. And his assassination, I believe, like many people, are 100% a function of those decisions that he made. Because right after he got killed, he got assassinated, he put an executive order to basically banish the Federal Reserve and CIA. And then right after his assassination, those executive orders, the new president came, and then that was gone. Of course, they were reconstituted again, into the system, as Federal Reserve, obviously, and it's here today. So the reason I'm saying is this: I used to have a lot of respect for Democratic Party in this country, but Democratic Party is not the same Democratic Party a lot of people knew. Well, like I said, and it has been a long time hijacked by the international globalist cabal. The New World Order that they're trying to bring is one world government, kind of, so to speak, with an absolute and complete and utter and deep control. And to achieve and accomplish these goals, they gotta destroy this country. They gotta destroy America as we know it. And Mamdani is, like many others, is part of this project, which all these, for the sake of simplicity in discussion, sometimes I use the terms interchangeably, like woke or wokeism. The woke culture has been heavily implemented through universities, through institutions, through non-governmental agencies, NGOs, through many other government institutions, through culture, entertainment, popular culture, you name it, Hollywood. It's been for years, actually for more than decades, maybe 2 decades, has been in force trying to change the cultural and intellectual and psychological and social landscape of this country. The good thing was, as we notice, as of with the elections in 2016, with the Trump's win, the direction has changed. People got awakened against this extremely ugly game, the total destruction of America, and they elected Trump. He was If those of you might remember that, he was saying, I'm standing between you and them. Who do you think he was referring when he was saying them? The globalist cabal. The globalist Marxist organization. And you might wonder, and you might find this extremely conflicting, I know it is difficult to understand, that why is it the globalist cabal, it is all concentrated in the most powerful and extremely rich elite of the world, and of also this country. Yet they're talking communism or Marxism. The communism that they refer to is a model after China. The Chinese Communist model, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, the way they control their people, 1.5 billion people, is their model. They're trying to model the Chinese CCP policies to be able to exert their power and implement their control. And their partners in the United States is none other than the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party today has been completely and entirely hijacked by these organizations, and they are in 100% complete treasonous activities against America. Mamdani is a test for New York City, which is the greatest American city, is a huge test for installing, implementing, and practicing this kind of, globalist activities, which is now, he is openly saying, I'm a social democrat, which is, I said that yesterday, it's a bullcrap, it's a horse shit. He's a communist. In the sense that I described. Don't be mistaken, he's extremely wealthy man. He's very wealthy. His activity, his campaign, they were saying, hey, it's a huge gain, huge victory. Why? Because there was no Jewish money supporting him, and typically it's expected that. And AIPAC, AIPAC, the Jewish organization, doesn't have anything in that. And look at this, the man is great, the man is hero. He is here to save New Yorkers. He is going to rob from the rich and is going to give it freely to the poor. He is a Peter Pan. Or what is that? Robin Hood, I'm sorry. I was trying to think of that historical character. There's a lot of movies they made. Robin Hood, right? Rob the rich and give the spoils to the poor. That's what it was promising. That's what it was exactly promising, because they asked him, how are you going to finance all that? And he said, I'm going to tax the rich. That's another way of, stealing from the rich. And remember I said yesterday on my video, I said, 1% of the people, the population in New York City is paying almost half the income, total income taxes. That should tell something, because he's going to lose all that tax base. He's not going to be able to do anything that he promised. Everybody knows that. He knows that. The only people who don't know it are those people who voted for him. Sorry for them. Well, maybe I shouldn't be sorry. I should be happy. Because I guess, if people cannot learn, well, there are other ways of learning. And they're going to learn extremely hard way. And it's not going to take long. It's going to take, maybe even a few months, as short as few months, that they're going to see that it was a, big disaster, and they were basically taken, and they were extremely naive and dumb and stupid to believe in what he was saying and voting for him. So, now what? What's going to happen? For anybody who is interested in how this whole, what I know, it sounds completely, according to many people, I believe I'm going to have, people commenting on that what I was saying was crazy, or the conspiracy theories and all that, and I'm one of those people, alarmist people, conspiratory, believing in kind of spewing hatred, conspiracy theories and all that stuff. Well, folks, I would recommend a book written by David Horowitz. David Horowitz, who recently died. Actually, he died at the age of 87. He was a big name, basically, known for his conservative activism, and he wrote a book about 200 pages long, including all the indexes and everything, on how Trump administration is taking actions to interfere and counteract with the radical left attack to destroy America. And he describes step by step how the radical lefts, like, again, in short, the wokeism, just to kind of simplify things, I'm using this term again, the wokeism and the woke policies in woke culture has been devised. And what he was recommending, and this is the problem right now in politics, that the radical left has been very successfully organized. I mean, they're really well coordinated, well financed, thanks to those like George Soros and his organization, as he contributes incredibly handsomely. I mean, since the 1987, since that year, his organization, he himself allocated funds to the tune of like $32 billion. Maybe today is more. It exceeded that number. For all these activities that would be under one umbrella named as woke. And only for one goal: to challenge and destroy the nation that anybody is accustomed to and known as the United States of America. I would just simply recommend that. You can, if you have an access, you can find it even free on Scribd. That's what I use. I use Scribd for, checking out books, just like the library online, and read on your phone. I was reading on my phone, or your computer, on your tablet, or you can download on Kindle. But that would be recommended if you're really interested in that. Anyway, so that is just a kind of a book recommendation I just made. Let's get back to what we're talking about. So, I mean, this is, again, how anyone can now, in the right mind, defend this guy. And I'm asking this to those, obviously, who voted for him or who are supporting him and thinking he's going to bring fairness. The system that he is talking about, free this and free that, never ever worked. There are many other ways to bring prosperity to people, but again, to bring prosperity to people, first of all, you gotta be able to create that prosperity. And what lacks of him in power, history time and again proved that. Economic history time and again proved that. None of these attempts have been successful in history. In fact, forget about success, they brought deep and utter disasters, economic disasters. That's why I was using I was making an analogy yesterday on my video, and I was using the movie Escape from New York, that was then 1980s, and Mel Gibson was playing. They made it again, same title, Escape from New York, I think in 2000 or so. I think Kurt Russell was playing in the second one. It's the same theme, same topic, same subject. That's why I was using an analogy, because I believe with this kind of guy in the mayoral seat, nothing short of disaster will be happening to New York City. Especially the soft on crime policies. Now is declaring New York City as a safe haven for criminals or illegal immigrants. And you just remember, just look around what was happening in Illinois, Chicago. Chicago mayor, what was his name? I couldn't recall now. He was openly challenging Trump that, yeah, if you want to come and deal with, touch those illegal immigrants, you got to go through me. Okay, Trump said, no problem, I can go through you, and that's what's happening. Same thing happened in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and right now it's also happening in Portland, Oregon. In Washington, don't forget what happened in Washington, D.C. to establish law and order, what Trump did. I'm glad to see that. And he was 100% right to do what he's been doing so far in those major metro areas. The same thing is going to happen to New York City. There is nothing to stop Trump from doing that. So, all this, you remember the talk that Mamdani was given during his victory speech? Well, it was all fine, nice and dandy. It's firing up everybody. You're all jubilant after the voting ended. Of course, all those people who are illegal immigrants and who are naive, dumbass, stupid, woke people who are thinking that, they're fighting for their cause. Well, you'll see. You guys, you folks will see. Probably sooner than I was thinking, the resulting pain of your voting. That's what I wanted to share today with you. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.